Folks, we are live. Welcome to Game is Health. I am Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. With me is the world famous Rachel.
Hey, folks.
We were at Page this past couple of days. That's the Philadelphia Area Game Expo, and got to meet a lot of the viewers of this channel, including people who frequently join us on Gamers Health. It was great. So, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The the currency that I thrive on personally, when it comes to this channel, isn't the cash. If it was the cash, I'd be starving. But no, it's the community, and it's the community that we got the chance to meet the members of at Page, and just the positive feedback. Paul, yeah, we've been busy, and we're going to be doing a grand total of at least, right? At least,
Yeah, we might be doing 7 cons, actually.
we may be doing 7 cons this year. Right now, we've got 6 confirmed. And there's one, I believe, in March in the Baltimore area that we may be going to also. And but we do it because we thoroughly enjoy being with and around the gaming community, or this community, the tavern community, or people that are adjacent to this community. People that
some people are part of bigger communities too, and along with ours.
There's an overlap.
Yeah.
But we got to meet a lot of the gaming YouTubers at Page, and
that was really interesting.
It was nice to find out other people in this circle of creatives. I'm sorry, I still have a spot in my shirt. But actually watch this channel, and they like the lives. So God bless them. We enjoy doing the lives. I enjoy doing the lives.
Something that was nice too is seeing a lot of the seminars and things like that were more about like each one teach one, like people sort of helping each other out to learn. Okay, this was my process to starting a YouTube channel, or writing games and getting published, or whatever the situation was.
So I was part of a panel on how to pretty much transition your community from a blog or a Facebook group that you manage, or a Discord, to YouTube. And how do you do that? Because we had 3 on the panel were all people who had started off with blogs or websites about 10 to 15 years ago, and transitioned to being, I'm going to put in air quote, content creators on YouTube. Because I consider content creators those that actually write books. I know I just consider myself.
You look at it as a more narrow.
Yeah. It's kind of like I guess I give people that actually create material for gaming a lot more street cred. But it was a blast to meet others from the community, and the YouTube community, and the OSR community, and to meet people that watch this channel that had their vending booths at Page. And I'm just like, oh no, I want both of you in this picture here. Like, come on, it makes you feel it makes you feel like you're accomplishing something. You're connecting. Did any of your critics introduce themselves to you? I'm guessing not. Actually,
no, he was not a critic. That one.
No, there was.
That gentleman was just someone that you actually critiqued. And,
yes.
He's like, hey, let's try again.
Yeah.
So.
So
So no, while there might have been people who could be quite critical of you, there was not really contact at all.
No. Listen,
Or
there was a review, and I'm not going to name the person because they had a legitimate gripe that I reviewed something of theirs about 10 years ago on the blog, and I probably was more snarky than I should have been. But
because you were more snarky in general.
I was more snarky. I was a bitter. I was a bitter fucking cop. But yeah. So, but not only do we break bread, but yeah, there'll be some reviews coming up of the products that I picked up at Page, and there was some damn good stuff, and not just including the bouncing D20s that Rach picked up. Edward, yes, glad to see you made it home before the weather turned for the worse. Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. You know, we left just after noon, right around noon from the main expo center, and there had been some snowflakes coming down. Hit the road. The road was wet, and at one point, you know, we had some heavier rain. But it wasn't until we got to Staten Italy that occasional sleet started hitting. And then when we got to our neighborhood in Queens, it was like, holy sleet.
Yeah, hard sleet.
Hard sleet. As we're getting out of the car, I'm like, well, if it had just been rain like 5 minutes ago, this wouldn't be so bad. And now I see that it's accumulating out in front. So after the live stream, I may have to throw those pants and shoes on and go out and deal with it. Edward, hey there, Flatfoot. Where do you get your donuts? On EN World, my tag was always coppers and crullers.
Oh, really?
Yes, and Gary Gygax, the Gary, when I commented on one of the threads he was participating in, and he commented back with, crullers, not donuts. And, like, well, the thing is, donuts make a mess.
Those hollow ones are really good, though.
Generally crullers are, at least the ones that I've usually found.
Right, they're not powdered. They're just powdered. Glazed, maybe.
They're glazed, or they are, it's not powdered sugar, it's a sugar. Sometimes it's more granular. No, I've had more granular sugar with cinnamon.
Okay.
But the cinnamon didn't really leave a big white stain on your dark blue shirt, so it was a lot easier to eat crullers with your tea. I'm not a coffee person, so I just wanted to throw that out there. But we had a really, really good time, and I've said this before. I go to conventions primarily to socialize. And yeah, some Germans sell crullers, I guess. But I go to conventions to socialize. It's literally why I am there. I go to conventions to meet members of this community. Nothing puts a smile on my face larger than somebody going, "Oh, hey, I watched Talking Crit with you, Mike, and Jim," or "Where's Glenn?" or "Oh my God, Eric and Rach together. I watched Gamers Health." The smile. Somebody actually praised. I was like, I turned red. That was actually Thursday night. I got, and was that the artist that was in your panel that Jen had been with?
I'm not too sure. What are you talking about? On
Thursday, the woman that came along and was like, "Oh yeah, Tenkar's Tavern." She goes, "You run a great community. It's just so, and you've been doing it for years." And I was like, I turned red.
Which one? The one with the purple hair?
I guess so, yeah.
Or an older lady?
An older lady with yeah.
Or an older lady with just like grayish.
I might be an older lady with grayish hair, fairly tall.
An accent, Swedish accent?
I guess so, yeah.
Anna Meyer?
Okay. So that's the stuff that I honestly thrive on. I mean, I when I was a cop, I was always like, I want to change one life for the better. I feel that with my YouTube channel, I get to touch more lives than ever there's a cop. Guaranteed. And certainly the interactions are more pleasant for both sides. Oh my God. But and I was surprised at how fast those days went. We got there Thursday, and next thing I knew, it was like, oh my God, it's Sunday morning. And of course the weather coming in was threatening, to say the least. So we didn't know how we knew we wanted to get some sleep in, but at the same time we didn't want to sleep too late. The only question was were we going to check out the vendor hall before leaving? And then of course the answer was yes, not necessarily to buy anything.
To say our goodbyes.
To say our goodbyes, yes. Which was great. I got to meet the guys from Nerdicky. I've watched their channel, but never, I thought I'd get to talk to people who've been doing this for, I don't know, close to a decade. Got to meet Stephen Glicker from Roll for Combat, someone who often watches the live streams on his channel. So I was thrilled to get a chance to meet with him. Of course, Dan, Professor DM.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, as always, to meet with him. Sadly, Kelsey got sick, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to touch on this topic. And I'll be honest with you, there's stuff that we should have done as preventative that we probably didn't. But hindsight is 2020. I mean, if I sound hoarse, I don't think it's because I'm catching anything. I did a lot.
We don't usually get the Con Crud.
Right.
Whatever you had going that year, you got it before that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
2020.
Yeah. But I did a lot of talking. When we did the panel, we had a panel for an hour and a half, and pretty much the microphone was crapping out. So we had to project, which is fine. I'm used to projecting again. Prior occupation makes that second nature. But it does, I'm not used to projecting as often. Now, when I ran my...
Or projecting maybe certain types of information?
Yeah.
You usually would project demands.
As opposed to explanations.
Or instructions, I should
say. Yeah. Step out of the car. But, or don't step out of the car. But conventions recharge my batteries, honestly. And I guess I'm lucky that Rach and I generally don't get sick at conventions because I'm hugging everybody. I'm a hugger. I know I don't look like it, but if I haven't seen you in a long time and you're a good friend, and most people I see at conventions time and time again become good friends of mine, you're getting a hug. Edward, part of my big plan is that convention should be held Tuesday to Tuesday. Room rates and flights are cheaper and allows for pre and post traditional convention events for community building.
Sounds nice.
Yeah. Well, here's what Ron did for Thursday. So now, essentially, this is a 3-day con, but it's like 3 days plus because that first night is for special guests and I guess was a gold badge purchasers. So if you were a special guest, and there were a number of special guests, I thought North Texas went overboard with special guests in general, and they do, which is a wonderful reason to go to North Texas because you have access to special guests. You don't have to throw somebody into a signing booth to make sure you can get their scratch on your module or whatever. But Ron does Thursday nights as a thank you to the special guests.
Right, and it's very nice because it's sort of like a warm-up.
Yep.
Sort of ice-breaking event.
Yeah. So I got to meet Bob World Builder, Baron, God, I can't remember his full title, But I got to meet a lot of the 5e world of creators, thanks to Dan and Kelsey, and I spent a lot of time talking with Kelsey as we were waiting for the dinner. And the dinner was a cheesesteak dinner. So it's not a formal dinner. It's a stuff your face dinner. And you just sitting right, no assigned seating. It isn't like, oh, this is this table and you're sitting with
Right.
You're sitting with whoever. And honestly, people were thrilled to get to sit down at a table with, Frank Metzner, and so many of their YouTube, personalities, classic TSR alumni. Harold Johnson was there. I mean, this is what gamers want. And I'll be honest with you, this is what your special guests want. And Ron does it so the special guests have a night that's just about socializing. He goes, you can, and it's true. Because the rest of the time, in the evening you have this everybody kind of congregates at the hotel bar. This is what happens at most conventions because that's where you socialized, and that's where you talk, and that's where you
some games
catch up. Some games pop up, but it was really. I think as far as socialization goes, amongst special guests, North Texas, TotalCon, and Page have a certain atmosphere about them that they really encourage this socialization amongst everybody.
Yeah, it's more like community building. Yeah.
Because if you go to GaryCon, if you're eating at GaryCon, you're eating in one of the restaurants at GaryCon, and you're going to be around whoever's sitting at your table with you, which is probably your own friends and circle, and you're kind of aloof and off, or you're eating off premises, and you're a little bit away
right,
from
because there's not always room in the restaurant.
So this and Gamehole has a hangout area at the hotel that's attached, which is very well used, but there's no eating facilities. So here, the bar is just perfectly situated, and they got overwhelmed. I personally think they need a second bartender for next year, which would be I don't know the name of the woman that was handling it. She did the best job she could do with the number of hands that she had. If this had been going on at my local bar when it was open, I would have been hopping behind the bar for your charge. Just how you get. Edward, many conventions, particularly during con season, are now destination vacations for families with young teens. Yes. Oh, and Kim, welcome. So one of my highlights actually was yesterday when I was running my game, because one of my regulars, somebody I've known for years because of conventions, and I was excited to see him on the sheet as a sign up. He's one of my signups. Comes into the I had a conference room. I had the elite seating for this. Came up to me and was like, he goes, listen, I can't make the game, but just wanted to let you know that I'm giving my ticket to this gentleman over here, and if you have room or somebody else drops out, maybe his son can drop in. And I was like, they're both good. They don't need ticket. I don't want your ticket. I'm happy to take people at my table. Because my theory, I'm always running towards Wizardry Light, or will be Blades and Arcana Light in the future, and it's a light system. I can get a game up and running in about 20 minutes, and everybody gets their own character that is unique to them, that they created, and we'll run a lot of combats, a lot of encounters, and as much roleplay as they want. I can do that with a table of 10 as easily as 8. I've gone up to 12. I am not Matt Finch, though. I can't do 24 at my table.
Standing on a chair.
Standing on a chair or a table. Yeah, no. So, this was great to me because the father was a lapsed gamer. They came to the con for Saturday, Sunday, and he was a lapsed gamer. And I believe his son was a 5e gamer and hadn't really explored the OSR. And I was able to give out the 4 pages of Swords and Wizardry Light and just say, oh, and I still had some character cards left, and give those cards out. And everybody had a character sheet that was a large 5x7 index card. Maybe it's not 5x7, maybe it's 4x6. But they had this large card in front of them, and that's all they needed for the game. And that's the joy I get to when I designed those rules. My pitch was a rule set that can bring back lapsed gamers and introduce new gamers, either totally new or people who played more modern versions of D&D, and it should be accessible and not intimidating and flow quickly. And it does. At Gen Con, all the companies eat and spend time together. The problem with Gen Con is, you're talking, 75,000 people? It's
so big that it makes for anonymity.
Yeah. So now, the numbers I had heard, I believe, and if my numbers are off, I know I did the numbers for the NYPD back in the day, but I didn't have written numbers here, so I'll go from memory. But I believe that by the end of the day, Friday, they had about 1,700 attendees. So I would say by the end of the day, Sunday, they're going to be close to 2,000. Next year, they're taking on the full venue. So they had about 30% of the venue's potential space. Next year, it's going to be 100%. They're going to have it for all the days. And I believe that there will not be anything going on at the main hotel, except possibly for, the cheesesteak dinner, which I got to tell you, I thought it was like, oh, it's going to be a cheesesteak dinner. Well, that's kind of funky. I'm getting my SCTV, cabbages and coffee. Good. Don't ask me, Rach. I'm having senior flashbacks. But, yeah. But, go cabbage rolls and coffee. Good. But having it at the hotel meant that after people ate and after that dinner function was over, people would gravitate back to the bar, and the socialization could continue. And there's something very special about that at these conventions. Again, North Texas has the same thing. North Texas, when we moved to the new venue, it took them 1 year to figure out that A, they needed to bring in more staff during the con nights, and they couldn't shut down at midnight. Now, I think it's 2 o'clock now? 1:30, 2 o'clock?
I think so.
Because they were making money. The bar makes money at these locations hand over foot. If they were, I was about to say if they were smart, they would do something at the venue next year, but there's no hotels connected to the venue, so maybe not, because everybody's driving.
Yeah, because it's, like with the shuttle shuts down at 7. So if people are hanging out and playing games and having the drinks, they can't really make it safely back.
Yeah, and if you're, and that sucks, actually. There's the shuttle. I think there's some little miscommunication.
But then again, I think, too,
what?
How many people are really there? Some people are there to game. Other people are there to, socialize.
Yeah.
And usually the alcohol goes along with the socialization,
Well,
less so with the gaming.
All right, so here's a question then. There was the auction last night, right? The auction ran from, I think, 7 or 7:30 to 11:30. That was the scheduled time. Well, if this time is cut off, right, and you can't get a shuttle after 7, well, that's a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, I think that too, most of the people had cars.
Right.
Like,
I think it was, most of the people had cars.
most of the people are like able to drive and able to navigate that.
Right.
You know?
But I will say this, my North Texas experience, because we never have a car at North Texas. We never have a lack of opportunities to eat away from the venue, because that's why you.
Well, other people will invite you. Yes.
And it's a beautiful. It's gotten to the point where we've had years where we had to turn people down because we'd already had a prior commitment, and that is something very special about the community here. Excuse me. I don't have the Con Crud, I don't think, but I certainly have allergies. Edward, great story. My experience at Origins last year was similar, with families of returning gamers whose kids are old enough to bring their kids and get them interested.
Nice.
Out of 6 tables, I had 4 like that. Sounds like a barrier to a good time and can be easily solved with an operations specialist involved. Well, and again,
yeah,
you know, I think the hotel didn't realize how. I mean, they sold out, and I should have told them that when they sold out.
This is a big deal.
This is a big deal.
Yeah.
They sold out. Their sister hotel sold out. So there was some kind of screw up with Professor DM's hotel reservation. They didn't have one for him. And that wasn't necessarily on him, but there was a screw up. And the best they could do was get him at an affiliated hotel about 10 minutes away. I believe there was some compensation involved, but
yeah, there were a lot of people too that were at that other hotel that was owned by Hilton.
Yeah. So
because the Hampton too had, I think, sold out too.
Yeah, but
the Hampton and the Hilton right beside each other.
So they're going to be even larger next year. Now, some observations about the venue. It was large and cavernous.
Yeah.
However, the acoustics, if I was running a game there, I would have been fairly comfortable. Some of the table areas looked a little tight amongst each other, but doable. But there were some issues being heard because the areas for the seminar were cut out from around the gaming areas, and I would rather that even the seminar areas have been like maybe put back to back or next to each other and away from the gaming area. That being said, it wasn't as loud as I expected. I have been in other conventions where the sound just washes over you like a shower that is way too cold. Yeah, you can't get out of it fast enough. That wasn't an issue. The vending area was awesome.
Yeah, they did great with that.
Yeah, I spoke with the vendors, and pretty much every vendor I spoke with did very well. Edward, the first year Gen Con moved to Indy, the city had no idea what was happening. I heard about that. Because when I went this year, the whole city was ready and so welcoming. What a great experience when the host town embraces us. I got a feeling that the Expo Center, the Philly Expo Center, is going to realize what I get to have and embrace it. It's like
I think so. I think they're starting to already because they made the space available for them for next year for the whole Expo Center.
So just like with North Texas, where it's held, they will bend over backwards for the con, because the con is 450 people, maybe close to 500 with walk-ups.
Like there were some years, like, the last couple of years of their contract where they weren't as attentive, but
there was a change in leadership at the hotel, and the last 2 years, my God, big D&D.
A big welcoming, like sign and snacks, and they'd bring things out like around 3:00, like sweets, and sometimes like non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah, I mean, I was very surprised.
Popcorn.
They had plastic minis the one year that were like little giveaway. So they understand. They understand because these happy customers are spending money at the hotel, and the hotel has good food. Now, one of the issues with the venue is that the food aspect is minimal as it is set up now. And I've been robbed at sporting events, and the pricing is similar. We got 2 super pretzels and 2 20-ounce sodas for
$19.
$19. You know, so and that was the cheapest option. You know.
Well, I wasn't going to eat hot dogs or cheesesteak, so
no, a $10 cheesesteak.
No.
Yeah.
And what was nice, I did not have to eat steak or hot dogs.
Oh yeah, even Ron had.
They had
chicken
steak, chicken cheesesteak.
Yeah.
So, I didn't have to violate. She
still had a little.
Yes, and I had
it was very good.
3 red wines over the course of the visit, because that's the allotment that I have like for each week. Not that I drink them.
Right.
Most weeks I don't drink any.
And she should be like, it's like, all right, it's like personal time off.
And the reason
accumulate it.
And the reason why is because the research has shown these 2 things to be, closely related to cancer recurrence. So that's the reason why, by and large, I avoid alcohol. I avoid red meat. Including bacon. So I was very lucky to find other options.
Yes. So now we're going to, right before we left, I got a package delivered that I was not able to unpack because we had to get out of the house. But Rach, if you could reach behind on the chair behind me. For those of you that are diabetics and are feeding.
Yeah, you have to say what's the ingredient list. Is it crazy?
All right, so this is these are Royal Cinnamon Raisin Bagels. We just had as like our we ate like around 3:30 for dinner, but we had our we had a plain bagel with butter. They were about 70 calories a bagel, 6 net carbs. I believe they shipped from Long Island.
Ingredient.
All right, I'm checking the ingredient. Well, the ingredients isn't as long as I would have expected. Water.
Okay.
Resistant wheat starch.
Okay.
Wheat protein.
Okay.
Oat fiber.
Nice.
Wheat bran.
Okay.
Psyllium husk.
Yeah.
Rye flour.
Woo.
Flaxseed.
Happy.
Currants.
Cool.
Cinnamon. Oh, actually, these are all pretty clean.
Yes.
Cinnamon. Brown sugar. Now remember,
it's not a chemical thing. It's not like so. Hopefully, our bodies will be able to break them down.
Yeah, brown sugar
easier than many other breads.
Maple syrup. Oh, sorry, malted syrup. Yeast, apple cider vinegar, and calcium propionate. I guess that's what
I don't know what that is.
The stabilizer. That's
okay.
I think that would. So there's 27.
We'll have to forgive that.
37 total carbs, with 31 are dietary fiber. So these come out if you buy like they had a special one we ordered. So it's 3 things. It was cinnamon raisin plain and everything bagels. So 1 bag of each, so 6 in the bag.
So we would freeze them.
And a loaf of bread. The loaf of bread has like 30 calories a slice. Very low, again low carbs.
And a similar ingredient.
And that was $35 plus shipping. So we freeze. Like I have this bag out. It's going to be a little snacking. Oh yeah, I know they're just little carb bombs. This is our little late night have with tea.
What does he say?
Raisins are carb bombs. There's only 6 net carbs though per bagel, and these are very soft.
Was it raisins or currant?
There's both in there.
Ah.
But here's the thing. These are very New York style bagels. New York style bagels are chewy. they're they work out to be about $2 a piece, which a lot of us will go, well, if I was buying that in the supermarket, I could get, well, don't get lenders, but I could get I don't know, whatever brand of bagels, and they're probably less than $1 a piece. But if you're somebody like a diabetic like me, this is a healthier and certainly tasty option.
And not that we would have it every single day.
Right. But that's the Royo, ROYO bread.
Royo.
Right. What? Royo. Oof. That's squeezing me. Yes, you're right. The way to maintain lifelong healthy eating and drinking is not to restrict yourself and do not overindulge. When you going cold turkey on something that you really like, we could say addicted to, but whatever, you're a chocolate addict, you stop it completely, that's when you risk having the binging, right? You fall off the wagon.
Well, yeah, that's like some of the things like with certain foods like that we can get addicted to. It's hard to think of like because we think of, oh, well, what's the answer to addiction? A lot of times we think, oh, abstinence, just don't do it, don't use it,
Right.
Don't eat it. And yeah, some things will be like that, but in terms of like certain foods and stuff like that, it's, a little more difficult.
Right. So now we will transition to the main topic of tonight, which is how to protect yourself at conventions. Now, something that North Texas has been doing, I guess, since the beginning of North Texas, and we including me, you would get your North Texas little sack / tote and
your backpack.
Your backpack, and inside would be, oh, look, there's the schedule. All right. And there's your little dice bag. And, oh, look at that. There's a little bottle of hand sanitizer. I always assumed the hand sanitizer was thrown in because we had...
clean the whiteboard or the
the battle mats.
Yeah.
Were on... Most tables had a battle mat, and you would clean it with a little bit of the hand sanitizer. And then after Doug passed, and I was explaining to my belief, he goes, no, Doug was all about health.
He's always been a germaphobe.
He was a germaphobe, and he was all about making sure everybody had a chance to constantly clean their hands.
Yeah.
So North Texas was, I guess, ahead of the curve. They were doing this before COVID. But here's the thing. When you go to certain places, especially when you go to a doctor's office or a hospital, or all over are these disinfectant stations, so you can go.
Yeah.
I really think the convention should have this.
Oh, that's a good idea. Well, they had started that in a lot of hotels and the common areas during COVID, but I feel like a lot of it's been taken down a lot. But it's an expenditure for them.
Yeah, sure. But here's the thing is.
And I bring my own. So.
Right, but when it comes, and which is wise, I should buy like a clip-on one I can leave on my belt, like when I was in law enforcement.
Well, we always have it in the car anyway.
No, I know.
And I always have it in my purse.
But here's the thing, though, right? If you're traveling and you're going to a con and you're flying, you're going to have to make sure if you're bringing your own that you're going to bring something that is travel acceptable. But I really do think that things like having the hand sanitizer stations available would cut down on Con Crud. Con Crud was an issue at the con.
Well, I think too, proper hand washing measures like we learned in COVID. That was probably one of the biggest things. Like, even though like the government recommended and created certain things, it couldn't prevent us all from, contracting it, and I think probably the most effective way of not contracting it was like washing hands and, washing it correctly,
Yeah. Yeah.
Washing it for, 20 seconds and then.
Sing happy birthday.
Yes.
My God. All right. Taking a small step back. Edward, ratios, rations, but consume low glycemic index carbs in a ratio of 2-to-1 carbs to protein. It slows down the release of the carbs as you digest. I've seen that. Certainly.
So your carbs should always be more. Your protein should always be more than your carbs in a daily intake.
Yeah, but when you're intaking, if you're taking,
at the time you intake
if there's
a
10
meal.
carbs, there should be about 5 protein to go along with it to slow down the absorption of the carbs. And everyone's like, what if you were part of an organization that brought you boxed meals after each slot that was balanced for your specific needs? It would never happen at any of the conventions that I'm at because they never had. Most of these conventions, few exceptions that make a lot of money. Gary Kahn makes bank, but most of them operate on a very narrow budget, and gamers are, dare I say it, in general, not
right.
cheap fucks.
But he makes a good point.
He does.
To go in with that ratio in mind.
But he,
and for people to decide what they're going to do with that,
But he does make another good point.
And they might not because they want to eat when they want to eat.
Eating the most nutritiously is the most important when your immune system needs the biggest boost.
Yeah.
When you are at a convention, and I'll be honest with you, when I went to conventions when I was still working, which means that I was out in the general public, even if it just meant I was working around dozens of others throughout the day, and I was walking the streets of Lower Manhattan to go get my lunch or my breakfast.
Yeah.
My immune system was always being exposed. Now, I am retired.
Yeah, I think when we were working, we had higher immunity.
Yeah. So you got.
And then COVID, I think.
Yeah, but you got to take some of that into effect. And I know they, take your emergency, which is great for general public. Not if you're wearing one of these.
Right.
Because one of these, I have a limit to how much vitamin C I can take in a day without affecting the readings. So I can't mega dose vitamin C like the general public can. So you get it. And I would listen. One big thing, and I heard somebody else. I overheard a conversation of somebody going, and I forgot my meds at home.
Aww.
Okay, that is some scary ass shit, depending on the meds that you are taking.
Yeah.
So I always double and triple check my meds. So
and I pack extra so that if we're stranded there,
right? If I need a few extra days, I have it. So what I do is I have for my medication and vitamin supplements, I have that weekly sorter with AM and PM. And what I do is the night before the con, I fill it up. So I have a full week, even though I'm only gone for 4 days or 5 days. I fill it all up. I even put an extra dose for that following morning, put that in a cup so I don't have to. And I pack
so that it's in the luggage.
Right, so I can pack this the night before, and in the morning of, I will check it. And as I put it in the trunk, I'm like my hands going and checking, because that will make or break your.
Yeah, we're on these meds for a reason.
Your convention.
Yeah. And Edward was saying about like taking your nutritional habits with you, trying to keep things and your behavior as similar as possible to what you do at home. So like for me, I've been, I work out, I do my TRX. So yes, that came on the road. My resistance bands came on the road. So like and my yoga mat, of course.
Yeah.
So so like I did all 3 of these things while I was away, and I got the extra bonus of swimming. So being able to exercise also, I think, in some ways helps immunity out and helps your body work correctly.
Yeah, I mean,
to deal with a food that's coming in.
Now I could tell I was doing a lot of walking because Friday and Saturday, I closed my 30 minutes of exercise ring just by walking around the convention center from to and fro. And
I didn't, so I I walked the same, but I had to do.
You didn't get
on the clock.
You didn't get the credit, Rach. I'm so sorry. Yes, Edward, immune systems just naturally get weaker as we age, and listen, that's another point to make.
Oh yeah, because we have an aging population these days.
So I was talking with one of the publishers today, Jason from Severed Press, and we were talking with another, and we were giving our recommendations as to which cons you should go to. I still recommend Gary Con as a bucket list. You got to go at least once. Game Hall, North Texas, all this other stuff. But I said, now is the time. If you plan on going to conventions on any regular basis, now is the time to do so. Because if you wait 10 years, people like me are going to be the old timers. And the old timers of today, the ones that were there at the founding of the hobby, aren't going to be going anymore. You know, I was very happy to see that Frank Metzner made it to the con. But I can't see him going to many more. Tim Kask only goes...
He goes to very select ones.
Which he can get driven to.
Yeah.
Because as you get older, your tolerances, your ability, your willingness to expose yourself to all these pathogens, you know, you're getting older, you're getting necessarily weaker. We're all gamers, right? We all understand risk versus reward, and we always try to balance that stuff out. Another important easy blood sugar regulation is to take a 15-minute walk after each meal.
Yes.
Shortly after I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's, they also diagnosed me with high blood sugar diabetes. And when I would have to take one of my scans, I would have to make sure my blood sugar was in the proper range. And that usually meant that day for breakfast, I was having 2 eggs and a sausage patty, and that was it. And then I would go down and put in 20 or 30 minutes on the exercise bike before going to the appointment, just to get my body the blood sugar in the right range.
Yes. Yeah, we got to fix up this bike.
Yes, ma'am. You can beat your husband up.
No, I'm gonna keep.
No, but not on screen.
We have to fix that bike.
But not
I'm gonna keep coming back.
I know, but don't pick me up on screen.
My knees need that bike.
But I mean, I need to repeat that Paige exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really did. Ron and his crew of volunteers.
All the people were just so lovely.
Did an excellent job. I've been at conventions where the staff has been, should I say less than stellar?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, you felt very welcome at Page. And the staff was everywhere. There was no shortage of volunteers in their volunteer shirts. And
whatever you needed, they were on top.
So, for a convention in its second year, which I think had 1,300 people last year, I'm going to think they're going to hit about 2,000 this year. They're hoping, I think, for 3,000 plus next year.
Wow.
That's going to become the East Coast convention. And it isn't just, see, Ron's doing something that I spoke with a number of the YouTube personalities. And
that's something different, right? That he incorporates the YouTubers a lot.
because a lot of people are getting their gaming information
Mm-hmm.
or keeping involved in the community through the YouTubers. And if you know, hey, this person that I watch on video, they're going to be at the con, in a way, it's almost more intimate than just going, oh, well, I love X's work on the books they're in. I'd like to meet them, as opposed to, oh, I know that fucker from the videos. I mean, look at you already feel like you know some of us, and actually getting to meet in person allows those of us on this side of the screen
Mm-hmm.
to be able to meet you, and then put a face to a name. And I am horrible with names. That's why another plus. Huge one as far as I am concerned. I'm going to give another huge props to Ron and his crew when they chose the holder for the badges. My biggest complaint over the years has always been convention badges are put on a little necklace, cloth necklace, with a lanyard. You and your big weights. That clips on. It's in the middle of this badge, top of the badge. So what happens is you're walking along, you bend over, whatever, the badge flips. It spins all the time. Well, this one, the lanyard, clips on either end of the badge holder. Doesn't do the flip. I am keeping that for every other con. I'm not letting that go. That is awesome. Mm-hmm. Now, I've had ones, they're in theory they look good. You know, those you can get them at conventions, the big black ones that hold everything.
That's really heavy.
It's really heavy in your neck. I don't know. This was perfect though, so I got to give a lot of credit to Ron and his crew for that. They really did a great thinking outside the box, outside of tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Fugly. Walk is good. That is a good thing that my dog loves when it's not 11 degrees outside.
Like tonight. Oh my God, it's getting cold here too.
Yeah, and like I said, we just got home right after the sleet started, which meant our drive was uneventful, thankfully. But yeah, it could have been it could have been a real mess. And we were following the weather, know? And that's one of something else to remember, and this is just an observation, but most conventions are held, the smaller ones are held in areas and times that are off season. So North Texas, when would you like to go to North Texas? I'd like to go to North Texas in February or March, not the beginning of June. But why the beginning of June? Well, because
it's hotter than hell.
Because it's cheaper. Because a lot of people don't want to run conventions during that time. Why is Page held in the beginning, or the middle of January? Well, it's held in the middle of January because it's Philadelphia, and you can get better rates if you're the one running the convention than if you ran it in late May, early June, when the threat of snow was over. But it was a great, you take that risk. You really do. You take that risk. Kim, -2 degrees here at the moment.
Oh my gosh. I was complaining because when I wake up to go to yoga on Wednesday, the high is supposed to be 19. I don't know what it's going to be then, but I'm like, oh my God, are my knees going to work for the yoga class when I have to walk in the cold? They will. They'll have to.
Here, I'll put it. Let me put it another way too. GaryCon. GaryCon is in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. When? In February, right?
No,
March. Hey, listen, I've been to GaryCon where, and if you're traveling, right, you tend to underdress because you're trying to bring as little with you as possible. And I figured.
Not there. You have to.
I was like, you know what? I'll get along with like a thermal shirt and my fleece jacket.
You've done that. Yeah, we went there.
Well, the time that they gave us the the cabin, which meant that I had to walk nearly 10
Oh
minutes
yeah,
just to
inside
get
the villa.
inside the villa. Villa was great, but leaving it was
Yeah, I wasn't leaving anywhere. It was gonna be with me at all times.
Edward, better rates, transportation's cheaper into Philly.
Yeah.
Yes, take the train. But I mean, a lot of this is common. So we saw people wearing masks, not a lot, but enough to be
A
noticeable.
handful, yeah.
You know, and that's great. But again, if it isn't an N95, it's probably
Look, whatever makes you feel better.
I know. What I'm saying is, it's not going to make you better. If you're gonna wear a mask, wear one that's effective. All right, that's all I'm saying. Kim, our high on Tuesday. So, as just observation, Heidi and Eric. So, was it what is it? Gaxland Publishing, pretty much sold out of everything.
God bless them.
They're actually talking that next year they're going to drive so they can bring more stuff.
Nice.
So that is the kind of success that you want. The vendors that I spoke with, the vast majority were like, "Yeah, it did really well." Joe Block, I know, did really well. I didn't get a chance to talk to the trolls, but there were a lot of smaller vendors that's what you want to hear, especially when there's a vending room of that size, because that means there's a lot of competition for your dollars. And if you're making good money with that much competition, it means people are walking the vending hall. People are spending their money. And God bless. Edward, you can't tell what the weather will be like in Kalamazoo in April. I've seen lots of snow and crazy wind rules that time of the year in Michigan. Yeah.
Is that where
will be?
We're going.
Yeah.
Kalamazoo,
Battle Creek, but it's just the same.
Oh.
It's pretty much that.
It's out there.
It's out there.
It's that our way.
The better way. But listen. I will. One thing we didn't address, and then we'll wrap this up. Sleep. We all, if you've gone to conventions, we know what it's like to operate on little sleep. And my biggest suggestion is, if you are someone who likes to socialize at night, don't schedule anything early in the morning. Because when you have a lack of sleep, your immune system will suffer too.
It's very dependent on sleep too.
So the early on Friday, I had an early-ish event. I had a 9:30 booth signing. I am not a draw for signatures. Okay, so I signed more after my booth signing time than I did in the booth. Just saying. A lot more if you count the SBA cards I distributed. But get sleep. Whatever everybody works on a different sleep load than others. It's a little bit unique, whether it's 6 hours, 8 hours, some people need 9. But whatever sleep you need, try to get as close to it as possible. You're going to probably miss your goal, but if you miss it by too much, your ass is going to drag, and you are going to more likely get sick. Oh, no, Edward's from Battle Creek. Kalamazoo is 40 minutes west.
Oh, okay.
So, but, folks, a huge thank you to all those that watch this channel. I was literally floored and pleasantly embarrassed to hear about the people that actually enjoy the live streams, enjoy the content. It's the currency that I'm happy to earn and put the smile on my face. So that's why we do what we do. That's when we go to the cons to meet you all. So if you happen to go to a convention and you know Rachel and I are going to be there, never worry about, oh, Tenkar's talking. Just approach. Give me a handshake. You know, let me put a face to, and tell me who you are when you're commenting. Like, hey, I'm Joe Schmo on Discord. I am Blackie Black on your YouTube channel, because that way I get to have I have a face that I can connect the name to, and it adds. It really does add to my enjoyment of this whole process. So, on that note, folks, thank you so much. Tomorrow night, we're going to do another live stream. This time, myself and Glenn, pushed from Friday to Monday, and we're going to have Mike Hunt as a special guest, Mr. BX Gangbusters. That should be a lot of fun. So, we'll try Mark Hunt. Well, I said Mike.
Mark
Hunt, yes. Give me a couple of smacks, Rach. Not really. All right, folks. On that note, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. Roll them well. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Edward. Thank you to everybody else. And we'll catch you all later.